and Zoning Commission regular meeting of July 15th, 2015. And ask for a roll call, please.
Atherton.
Here.
Ruling. Here. Kroll.
Here.
Castro.
Here.
Neer.
Here.
Katz. Chair Welsh.
Here.
6 present.
At this point, then, we'd like to have approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded for approval of the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passes. At this point, then, we have an opportunity for approval of the minutes of the May 27th, 2015 meeting. You've had an opportunity to look at that. Is there any changes or motions from the commission?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
It's been
Second.
moved and seconded by Chris to approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2015 meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It's been passed. At this point in our meeting, we give the citizens of DeKalb an opportunity to speak before the Planning and Zoning Commission on any topic not already on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission tonight? Second call. Anybody that wants to speak? Okay. Seeing no citizens interested in speaking to us tonight, I close that portion of the meeting. There is no old business, so we will move forward to new business. There's one item on the agenda, which consists of a public hearing on a request by Park 88 LLC to re-subdivide the Park 88 development in order to construct a 987,000 square foot warehousing and logistics building for 3M Corporation. So, having opened that public hearing, does the city have any comments to make first?
Thank you, I will. Just some introductory comments, and you will likely hear this from the petitioner this evening. As we're all aware, Park 88 was developed and approved in 2004, at least with the development agreement annexation that over time, the last 11 years have been built out. The most recent example of an addition to the Park 88 development occurred in 2010 or 2011 with the 600,000 square foot 3M building that you all approved on final plat and plan at that time. You see the fruits of your labor, the fruits of their labor out on Maycom Drive. We were fortunate to have another scenario similar to the 2011 plan come forward, and what has been described in the paper as Project Blackhawk. It's for our purpose to discuss it tonight as Lot 12. Lot 12 is being considered and presented before you tonight as a lot that in and of itself is larger than the previous parcel lines that were shown in the original plan. Therefore, we're bringing this forward to you tonight with amendment to that plan, modifying those lot lines to accommodate this 987,000 square foot building proposed for the 3M. What you'll find in the staff report and associated backup material is the preliminary plan, the final plan, the preliminary plat, and the final plat. And like we've discussed at previous meetings, we have made an attempt to offer for your consideration tonight a recommendation to consider. And what I guess we highlight from that point in time is we're acknowledging that what has occurred in the past has occurred. What is presented before you tonight is consideration of Lot 12, so the developer can go forward at some point in time and present a buildable lot that's been subdivided properly that will look as though you'll see is presented tonight, available for construction. Then in a future date, hopefully sooner than later, we will talk about the remainder of the park before this body and commission. So I guess that would conclude my introductory comments.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else, city, that would like to make a comment? All right, at this point then, we will open the public hearing to the audience. And traditionally, we allow the developer to make a presentation first, if that's your wishes.
Good evening. My name is Bill Bone with Jacob and Hefner Associates. We're the civil engineer and surveyor on the project. We've been working on Park 88 since 1999.
My name is Mark Good. I'm with Venture One Real Estate. We are the owner of Park 88.
I'll take a couple minutes to give you guys just a brief overview of the development that we're proposing on Lot 12 itself. As Derek had mentioned, it is a proposed 978,000 square foot warehouse and distribution center. It'll be located next to the existing Eastern 3M building. Right now, there are two 3M buildings out there. A 360,000 square foot distribution center, a 600,000 square footer that's expandable to 1 million, and then this will be a 978,000 just to the east of the Eastern one. This provides a unique opportunity to provide a campus for the user of 3 buildings that they can kind of interact with one another. The plan, as proposed, will have us modify the access slightly off of Maycom Drive. So the existing entrance at the northeast corner of the existing eastern, larger 3M building right now is a security point for all trucks coming in and trucks leaving. The plan is to provide that and modify that so it's inbound only. So all inbound trucks will go through that existing guard shack and that existing entrance. What that does is it provides more capacity for inbound trucks. It over doubles the capacity of queuing for inbound trucks and still allows that checkpoint, that security checkpoint for the user. The outbound would be a newly constructed access point off of Maycom Drive at the northeast corner of the proposed building, and that would be outbound only. So that will be another security checkpoint where there'll be a fully manned guard shack, and there will also be 4 outbound lanes provided at that location to allow for their outbound traffic only. A couple other interesting parts of the project. We're proposing 410 parking spaces. The plan that was submitted several weeks ago for review had a section, I think about 110 or so of those car spaces we had delineated as future. The user has since told us that they want them all paved up front. So the entire parking lot will be built on day one. To provide a little bit of buffer for their shift change, so there's some additional spaces for shift change, so it kind of flows better of cars coming in and cars leaving at that time. From an engineering standpoint, it's a very straightforward project actually. The majority, actually all of the infrastructure for Park 88, at least this portion of Park 88, is already in the ground and was built during past projects. For instance, all the stormwater detention for this proposed development on Lot 12 is already in the ground and functioning. We will be simply connecting to existing storm sewers that were stubbed on the south side of Maycom Drive. All of our storm water will then be connected to those storm sewer stubs and will drain under Maycom to the proposed detention system and head west. Water main, there's already 12-inch water main along Maycom and 16-inch along Fairview. And there's a 10-inch loop around the existing 600,000 square foot 3M building. So we'll just perpetuate that loop around this proposed building and run another 10-inch loop around the new 978,000 square foot building. Sanitary sewers, also straightforward. There's an existing 15-inch sanitary line located on the north side of Fairview and another one located within Maycom Drive that has a stub already built to this lot. We're actually going to tap into both because the building is so large and so long in the north-south direction. We'll drain some of the sanitary effluent to south to Fairview and the other half north to the Maycom line. We've already ran these concepts by the DeKalb Sanitary District. They've agreed in concept to them. As we develop our plans further and our engineering further, we'll obviously be going to them for a permit. But they are on board with that idea of splitting it kind of north-south. As far as screening, we've got berming planned along Maycom Drive, south side of Maycom Drive in front of our car parking area, and then also on the north side of Fairview, there'll be a pretty substantial berm to kind of block and screen any of the loading areas. Other than that, I'll let Mark say a couple words, and we're here to answer any questions you guys may have.
First of all, thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be an industrial real estate developer in this community, and we've been here working in DeKalb now, I think, for about 12 or 13 years. And the benefit of your community, and we develop in a lot of different communities around Chicago, is the opportunity to meet the needs of the corporate clients, because they come to us and say, you know what, we're a little quick on our planning here, and we need to be in the ground this summer, not next summer. It's 1 million square feet. Can you get it done in 60 days? And the staff here and the city has been fantastic to work with. So my first statement is I want to thank everybody here at staff level and at the city for all the hard work over the last 30 or 45 days. You don't get that in every community, very few communities actually. When we bought Park 88 3.5, 4 years ago, and we were the development manager for the 8 years before that, we envisioned Park 88 to be the best corporate park, business park in the region. And 3M making a decision to add 1 million square feet in Park 88 when they had other options around the country, I think speaks well to the community, the park, and their operation and employment here in the city. This is this design is really a design that 3M really provided us with for their most efficient operation. So we're really doing a build-to-suit of their design to us for them to be the most efficient company they can be here in DeKalb, which will lead to them being here for a long time. They're making another long-term commitment with this building to the community. I'm not a technical person on any of this stuff. Bill is. So technical questions Bill can answer, and I can answer any questions about the park or our or what we're planning on doing within the park going forward.
Okay, thank you. We'll see if there are any questions or concerns from the public, and you can address those. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before the commission on this project tonight? Please, if you would come to this center podium, your name and address, and go ahead.
My name is Paul Borek. I'm Executive Director of the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, located in Sycamore, Illinois, but serving the city of DeKalb and all the communities in DeKalb County. On behalf of the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, a public-private partnership dedicated to expanding the tax base, job creation, and enhancing the business climate in DeKalb County, I'd like to express our support for the re-subdivision of Park 88 requested here tonight in order to build the new expanded distribution center for 3M. The project will generate significant new revenue to all of the taxing bodies within the city of DeKalb, as well as facilitate the retention of 250 jobs by 3M. And indirectly, the project will free up buildings currently leased by 3M to attract new companies or enable other local companies to expand. That's an important factor in our overall economy. Our location doesn't afford us much speculative development, and the only way to generate building inventory to attract companies that need existing space and are not able to build new buildings is for local companies to expand, as 3M has. So I appreciate your consideration tonight, and I urge your support.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Are there other people in the audience that would like to speak to this issue?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Amy Deegan. I live at 234 Salem Drive in DeKalb. My sister and I own 14 acres on the corner of 38 and Peace Road, and I'm wondering how this will affect our property. We got a letter that it would.
Oh, okay. Well, you're, okay, so.
Potentially. We like to notify people in the surrounding area so that if you have questions or concerns, go ahead.
This particular building will not affect your property. It's on the south end of Park 88, south of Maycom Drive, between Maycom and Fairview. It's a fully developed parcel. So all of our detention is in, and traffic typically will go on Maycom and turn right on Peace and go to the highway. That's what they do now, and I think that's probably what they'll do in the future for most of their trucks. So I don't think there'll be any effect from a stormwater perspective or really from a traffic perspective.
Yay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Please.
what we're addressing tonight is just Lot 12, but when Planner Highland prepared the public notice, we went in the parameter outside of the entire park. So we went in a much bigger, just so that the community knew.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd rather tell you there's a potential and there not be an issue that you're interested in, but, okay. But thanks for coming.
May I add one more thing?
Go ahead.
At a future step, though, a future date, we'll come back and we're going to be looking at the plans for the entire park. So we will be working closer in concept, no real development projects at this point, but in concept, the next time the commission looks at this, they'll be considering the properties that are closer to you. So you might want to watch for that, okay?
And your expectation is that's in the next 3 to 6 months, kind of
Yes.
potential? Okay.
Right now, we're sort of busy on this project, but as soon as we get this going, we'll probably be back here, I'm saying, before the end of the year.
Please. Sounds good. All right. Having listened to people from the audience, is there anyone else that would like to speak or someone who has spoken already that would like to speak again? Okay, so I'm going to go for a third call just to make sure the public has that opportunity. Third call. Is anybody interested in speaking on this topic? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public input part of the presentation and turn to the commission for their issues. Other thoughts or questions for the developer? As people contemplate those, it was suggested that we really are concentrating on Lot 12 today. That's the lot that is important to get the 3M project underway, and knowing there are some other issues that we want to cover, we've been suggesting, and as the developer is interested in speaking about the rest of the development. But today, we're really looking at Lot 12 and the results of this particular development by 3M. So, what questions or concerns do people have? David.
With full understanding that we're focusing on Lot 12, I wanted to ask Planner Highland to, if he could please give us a general summary of the history of Park 88. And the whole idea is, if anything, to put this specific petition in context. That I'm not asking for too many details, just a general overview.
Okay. I will do my best and give you a very lofty, elevated description. In my introductory comments, I indicated that the original agreement that I have on file goes back to 2004. And in 2004, it was approved with DeKalb Associates, calling the Park 88, that's also included in the backup. The property came forward a couple of times in the last 11 years where you've seen individual phases and individual plans and plats come forward. Most recently, as I pointed out, was in 2010 for the other 3M building, the 600,000 square foot building. Prior to that, in 2007, was the inclusion of additional land that is at the southwest corner of Lincoln Highway and Peace Road, just beyond the Deegan's property, known at that time as the Orr Farm. So, as you saw on the screen previously, Park 88 almost doubled in size, approximately, to absorb additional land surrounding the 1 million square foot target facility that was completed, I believe, in 2004. And I'm going to look to the gentleman to my left and across the room to confirm that. But over time, I think that the park, along with the economy, has changed. and the needs of the users have changed. And so the original plan in '04 had zoning relevant to commercial zoning. There was an additional roadway that had smaller uses and lots. But what I'm sure Mr. Boric and Mr. Good can attest to is the users for a park such as this are more interested in the larger scale, the 978,000 square foot building, and not the smaller outlots, if you will. But more to come on that apparently in 3 months. But this is lot 12 that would be part of the campus of 3M, where they would have then 3 buildings in a row to be one site. Did that answer your question?
I think it does, and then I guess my follow-up question is, and let me just ask a question. Does this development look consistent with what the vision is for this entire development?
Yeah, this one's easy. If you want to know what this will look like, drive to Fairview Drive and Macomb Drive and look at the other 2 3M buildings. This is being planned and designed very similar in nature to do so. In fact, building 2 of 3M, although at 600,000 square feet, I don't know if you remember when it did come through, it had the ability to expand another 400,000 square feet, if I remember right.
That building could be expanded to about 970,000 square feet.
970.
About a
Okay.
mirror of this one. We basically took that building and expanded it, and are building at the 978. It's the same building, basically.
And that's my impression as well. I just didn't
Yeah.
want to bias the answer before asking the question, so
Understood.
makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, good question. What other questions are there from the commission? Statements? Christine?
So in our backup, there is a citizen input about, sorry, get on the right page. A call regarding the drainage issue, is that,
That would be the same as the letter that was
That we
received and
received?
placed at your
Okay.
seat today.
okay.
Perhaps the engineer can speak to that.
Yeah, I can address that. That is an area, an undeveloped area of the business park that's slated for development sometime in the future. But actually, back in the 80s, the city of DeKalb identified an issue there, and you actually commissioned a study by a company called Donahue. That study was completed in 1988, and what it identified is a much larger tributary area to that, what would be really the southeast corner of Industrial Drive and Route 38 and the neighborhood just north of Route 38. There's about 170 acres of tributary area to that location. All of it is currently, not all of it, majority of it's currently farmed right now. A portion of it is the northeast corner of Park 88 that is yet to be developed. A large portion of it is upstream and to the east side of Peace Road. And basically, the summation of the study was that stormwater detention, when the area is developed, will mitigate the issue. The developer, in past discussions with the city, has agreed to upsize our stormwater detention pond in that area. We've been planning that since they purchased the Orr parcel. That's the parcel that northeast corner of the business park is called. So we've been planning since the purchase of that property to fit an upsized detention that will further benefit that neighborhood just downstream and the individual who wrote the letter. And our study internally, my company's study, really coincides with the Donahue study that the city commissioned back in the late 80s. So we're both in agreement on what needs to be done and have a plan to do it. And once that area of the park develops, the detention will be installed and it will mitigate the issue.
Thank you.
I remember the Donahue study well. In fact, I think I voted to approve the financing of that. Yeah, it's a good study, but obviously you haven't developed that end of your park yet. And when you're there, you're going to take care of that issue.
Yes, we will.
So a long time in developing, but that's the developing world, right? Okay. Thank you, Christine. Other questions?
So is there, I'm sorry, there was something that was not clear to me. Is there something in the current development that would affect positively or negatively the experience of this letter writer?
It's a different watershed. So the
Wait.
current, yeah, Lot 12 is in a different watershed. The detention's already in for Lot 12, and that's actually also upsized. But that stormwater flows west to an existing culvert under the railroad there and heads west to the Kishwaukee River. So completely different watershed, no positive or negative impact.
Thank you.
Thank you. Matt, do you have any questions or concerns?
All straightforward to me.
Okay. Roger?
There was reference made to the fact that the original plan was to have 4 exits or entrances, exits to the property along Fairview Drive on the north side. And we're presently at 4. And do you see any difficulties in staying with 4?
I appreciate the question. What we've asked the city to consider, and we will work with staff as we move forward, is to provide 3M with a emergency exit only for safety reasons. It's a big facility and it's a 50-acre site, and so we'd like, if there is an issue on site, we'd like the employees to have another option to exit the site rather than just going out on the Maycom. So in case of an emergency, we'd like to have, a gated emergency access point. And that's really for safety reasons for the user.
And probably our fire people would be suggesting that anyway.
Right, they normally do not want just one exit in and one roadway in on a building of this size.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Deb?
No, it looks very straightforward and looks like a terrific project to bring to the city.
Okay. There've been a couple of comments about the fact that, this project didn't start off designed exactly like this. But in fact, as my recollection is that Park 88, originally the northwest corner of Fairview and Peace, originally was designed to be an indoor shopping mall. But, after looking at that for about 8 years and many generations of that, it wasn't going to be, and that's probably the good news, despite the fact that people would have liked to have shopped there. There are generations of these things, and I think the meeting we're going to have in the next 3 to 6 months kind of does that overview and says, this is the new, more realistic to this generation version of Park 88. And I am going to conjecture that it's the better version.
Park 88 and most developments are subject to the needs of the users, and things change over time. So the good news is we now in Park 88 have 3M and close to 2 million square feet, I think is what it will be, and Target's in 1.5 million, and right across the street is Nestle and 600,000, which really creates a fantastic corporate environment for everybody on the outside looking in, and I think will help us with momentum going forward. So thank you.
And we spent a lot of money making that Peace Road entrance go both ways, and that's what makes this property more attractive. And so I think over the planning over the last 20 or 30 years, this has developed well. Any other questions before we move on to motions? Any questions for city? Okay, is anybody prepared to suggest a motion?
Derek, you provided us with some good language for design. Thank you, by the way. I'm curious as far as the sample motion for the 3 different facets of it regarding the major change, a preliminary flat, and the final plan. You also have the conditions, the 4 different factors. Would you recommend that topics 1, 2, and 3 be recommended? Staff approval of various items.
Just improves this sentence.
Okay.
Okay.
Staff approval of all various items not yet completed. Okay.
We're just looking at lot 12, that's why I wanted
Just
to
lot
make sure.
12,
Yeah.
okay. So it would just be for approval of the final plan for lot 12?
Yeah, just,
Subject to the following,
just the way this reads, yeah.
just the way,
Carry that into,
just the way this final?
yeah,
Okay, staff approval of all various items of time completed. Items of lot 12, okay.
right.
That's it? All right. Figured it out. All right, well, I guess I'll make a motion for the staff approval of the various items of lot 12, which not yet been completed, as outlined in the recommendations of the city. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, but
Are you going to do this individually, or is that your all-encompassing recommendation?
we could do it as a whole, I don't,
I
you know, with.
think it can all be done as a whole for simplicity's sake, unless there's something that really should be considered separately.
So did I hear you correctly that you're recommending what was included in 1 through 3 and then 1 through 4?
And 1 through 4, yes.
Okay,
What I
thank you.
originally started asking is if we should consider them separately, but it sounds like a whole motion to approve it is fine,
I understand now. Okay.
yes.
Can we read it into the public record, though?
Okay.
Thank you.
Which exact part am I reading?
Flip the pages.
The whole
Okay.
thing.
There you go.
The entirety of this?
Yep.
Okay. Make a motion for the approval of the May change of the development agreement regulated by ordinance 0453, authorizing modifications to the prior approved concept plans to allow for approval of the preliminary plan and plat for Unit 4, excuse me. Approval of a preliminary plat of that portion for Unit 4 comprising Lot 12, and approval of the final plan and plat for Lot 12, including authorization for the city to issue permits for mass grading and foundation subsequent to final engineering approval by the city, but prior to final approval of building permits, landscape plans, lighting plans, and other plans as necessary determined by the city, all subject to the following conditions. The applicant's acceptance and completion of all revisions identified in Exhibit 2 of the staff report prepared by the Planning and Zoning Commission's July 15th meeting, 2015, to be submitted and reviewed and approved by the city prior to consideration by the city council. Number 2, the applicant's acceptance of the following terms in the revised development agreement authorization to the major changes, 2 parts, that no final plats or plans for Park 88 will be considered or approved until a future amendment to the development agreement is negotiated, agreed upon. And notwithstanding the depiction of Lot 13 on the preliminary plat plans, this action shall not constitute preliminary or other approval of Lot 13. Third point, negotiation and execution of an amendment to the development agreement relating to proposed future development of any portion of Park 88, addressing certain developmental issues within current Park 88, and providing for the orderly improvement of Lot 13 at a future point in time. And finally, staff approval of the various items of Lot 12 which have not yet been completed and outlined as above, including architecture, lighting, and landscaping plans.
Okay, I hear a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded by Christine. Discussion. Okay. Does that sound like what you folks are looking for also? Okay.
As David stated earlier, they came with a well-organized plan, and it was presented in an orderly manner, and I just don't see any flaws in it.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Do you want a roll call on this?
Was there a second on that, Mike?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, Christine had seconded
Oh,
it.
yes, sorry.
Let's go ahead and do a roll call.
Ruling,
Yes.
Castro,
Yes.
Neer,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Chair Welch,
Yes.
all ayes.
Okay. So that passes. Welcome with your new 3M bunch. Moving on, we have no other considerations. Are there future things that you'd like to,
I'm sorry.
are there future things that you'd like to tell us about, or,
We
Meeting
will be
the end
having a
of-
public hearing August 12th.
okay? Not the end of July, perhaps?
Uh,
Probably not. Maybe
No,
not.
I didn't know how tonight was going to go, so we left
Okay,
the 29th open for consideration. August 12th is when we'll
Very
meet
good.
again.
very good. Any statements for the good of the order here? I think that I have heard a number of times us describe the fact that we need to go back and look at perhaps modification of code for the planning commission.
So we've talked in the past about the bylaws.
Correct.
At your next meeting, we'll have election of officers.
Very good. All right.
And I need to be certain that we're all caught up on the Open Meeting Act training.
Very good. So, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
It's been moved by Matt, seconded by David. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.